ask you some questions about the church.
All right.
What do you think are the most important aspects of the church?
Well, there's a couple of things. I think one of the most important aspects of the church is the fact that it is rooted so deeply in history. I mean, we can go back for thousands of years and understand the reason why we do things the way we do them. Another thing I think that's one of the most important aspects is that there's something to be said about knowing that every Sunday throughout the world that everyone is saying the same prayer and reading the same message, and I think it gives some power, the unity that we see throughout the world each Sunday with our readings and the message that we get. And then the third one is probably the most powerful, is that the message the church gives society is a message of love, and I think that that's something that we're lacking in society today, and so it's powerful to have that message delivered on a continuous basis when so many people are in need of it.
All right, good answer. What do you think weakens the church in your eyes, and why?
What weakens the church? Okay, well, the first thing I think, at least in our society, is in the United States, we are taught to allow everyone freedom of speech. And I think that we have a tendency sometimes to go to the extreme and not speak our mind because we're afraid that it's going to offend someone else. And I think that's definitely something that weakens us as Christians and our beliefs. The other thing is that a lot of Catholics have a tendency to pick and choose what they think is right with the church rather than accepting the church for what it is in whole. And that weakens the church as well. And then the third thing is that our beliefs are rooted so strongly in the United States, and that's, I mean, what our country was founded on was our ability to have freedom of religion. And we have been a society for so long of Christians that we try to overcompensate, I think, at times with our tolerance of other religions because of that fact that they've been for so long maybe the minority, and it weakens us as a church.
So, as Christians, as Catholics upon the world, how do you think we can unite to fix this worldly problem?
Okay, well, I don't know if it's a problem so much as just a situation that we're in, that we have the chance to show ourselves to be righteous Christians. I think what we need to do first is understand that we also have the right to free speech. Christians have the right to free speech as well, and our ability to pray and to talk about Christ and to follow in Christ's footsteps are just as ingrained in our constitutional right as someone else who, say, is Muslim or Hindu or Jewish, and their rights to their religion. So I think the first and foremost thing we need to understand is that we have equal rights in as far as our freedom of speech, and we shouldn't be afraid to say what we think as Christians for fear that we're going to have some retribution because of that. The other thing I think is that we need to teach our children. We're as a society, we forget that our children need to be taught these lessons. They need to be taught about Christ. They need to be reminded about Christ on a daily basis and what his lesson is and what his teachings are. And we get so wrapped up in our own world that we have a tendency to not incorporate Christ as much as we should in our daily message. The other thing is that we need to prioritize what the church's lessons are and make them a priority in our life and in our children's life.
One last short, quick question. In today's modern world, how do you think culture affects us as the church?
Well, I think culture probably affects us most of all the questions that you asked. The third one, or the fourth one, is probably the most important one because in today's society, being righteous or being Christian and being doing the right thing is not considered cool. We're kind of in a me society, and we've grown to become a society where we're focused on what's in it for me and what am I going to get out of life and who's going to look at me rather than what can I do for others and what can I do to help society and what can I do to make myself a better person. And so I think that as far as culture goes, our culture has definitely gone in the wrong direction. And the only way to fix that is if we spend time with our children and refocus them on what the priorities, should be. We have a tendency to idolize fame and fortune and money instead of goodness and nurturing and loving and those things that are really the most important things.
All right. Well, it sounds like you have your ways to help the church be fixed. Thank you for your time today, and hope you have a good rest of the night.